Good evening and welcome to SLU Sports Night. That's SSN, and welcome to the 14th episode of SSN. And you always know this show brings the little surprise here and there. Of course, we take your questions. Tonight we have a special someone with us. We're going to introduce him shortly. We're also going to get a call from Ken. Of course, we know him as one of our hosts on the show. So again, I'm Hassan, and again, remember the show. We will be taking your questions. So remember, you could send your questions in. That's on slusportsnight@gmail.com. That's slusportsnight, NITE, @gmail.com. So this evening we have a few things to discuss, and we're just going to browse through them before we go into the discussion. And before I introduce my co-host for the evening, we're going to have some bit to discuss in terms of West Indies and the losing of that series in India. We also had some football today. We had the Champions League continuing on the second day of the week. We had Real Madrid registering a victory over Galatasaray, 4-1. Manchester United, they defeated Leverkusen 5-0. Bayern Munich, they got victory, also wins for Shakhtar Donetsk, and Manchester City, they also won games today. We had an upset yesterday. Some persons are going to say it's an upset, of course, with Barcelona losing to Ajax yesterday, 2-1. And of course, we have Premier League action for the weekend with Arsenal. They going on to continue their good run. Staying at the top of the BPL. Disappointments for Manchester United. They could have only managed a draw, and we could say that Liverpool would be disappointed that they only got a draw. That's from the Everton game. So once again, just a reminder that you guys could send in your questions, your comments to SLU Sports Night. That's NITE, night @gmail.com. You could follow us on Twitter at SLU Sports Online, or you could follow us at SLU Sports Night. You can also follow us, like us on Facebook, SLU Sports Online. So this evening, have a special someone from beautiful island of St. Lucia. He's currently in Canada, Toronto, Canada, where he's, of course, special expert analyst. And, when it comes to talk shows and sports, he definitely has quite a bit of knowledge. We're going to introduce this evening Dinesh Daswani. Dinesh, what's up?
Good evening, folks. How are you doing today?
All right. So, Dinesh, what's it like? I mean, being over in Toronto, what's the mood like? What's the sports atmosphere like? How's everything going over there?
Pretty good. Right now it's really cold and it's like freezing, and everyone is trying to stay home and bundle up, right? It's getting to like the December time, so getting to winter season.
We're sorry to disturb you from getting that done, but we know that you have a huge following. You have your audience.
Correct, yeah.
You're into the talk show stuff as well. Could you just give us an idea as to what it's been like and what's your plan for the future?
I'll just give you a little background of my sports history. So when I first moved to Toronto, I was pushed into a sport. I was always a big fan of sports growing up in St. Lucia, watching basketball, watching high school basketball, played for the volleyball team for St. Mary's College. And when I got into Toronto, the first thing I did, I wanted to work in sports. So they put me to work in a hockey team. Yeah, St. Lucian working in a hockey team, I had no clue what I was doing there. So I worked for a hockey team for 3 years, and then I moved on to work for one of the biggest TV stations in Toronto, CBC Sports, in Hockey Night in Canada. And from there, I went on to get my coaching degree in tennis, and I also got my degree in sports marketing. So I have intense interest in sports and definitely a knowledge about sports history.
Wonderful. And we do have you down, of course, to be with us for a few episodes.
Of course, yeah.
And we do look forward to that. We do look forward to your expertise. We do look forward to your knowledge, and we do look forward to the fun that you bring to SSN and the information that you'll also be able to give. And we know that you're going to be having, of course, your own talk shows. Continue to do that. and
Correct.
we
Yeah.
do encourage people to follow you, and we know that you're going to continue to promote your shows. So, Dinesh, we will be having Ken with us anytime from now, and I know that you guys are going to be discussing a bit of the NBA and what's going on so far in the NBA. But while we wait for Ken to get on, what's your whole general feeling about this season when it comes to the NBA?
Well, I guess the main team that's up there is the Indiana Pacers, but they're not the biggest threat in the East, at least. I think the defending champions, the Miami Heat, are the biggest threat coming into this year. The Heat's always going to be a threat because of the three main players they have there in LeBron and Wade and Bosh. But I think the team to watch this year is going to be the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference. That's a very up and coming team. They had a chance last year as well to take the championship. They failed to do that. I think they're more experienced and they have a better chance of maybe winning the championship this year.
All right, Dinesh, we have Ken with us right now.
Yeah.
And Ken, how you doing? Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Hassan. Good evening to all the viewers out there. I'm doing okay for now. What about you?
We're doing great. Dinesh, Ken wants to know how you're doing.
I'm very good. How are you guys?
Yes,
How you doing, Ken?
Dinesh, how are you, man?
Things are good. How are you?
Um, just one second. I think he'll just have a little bit of a problem hearing you just yet. But he will hear you shortly. We'll let know when that time happens. But Ken, Dinesh will be definitely discussing a bit of the NBA with you. I know you guys have your separate teams that you support. Um, so you could start the ball rolling. I think his team. You could ask him who he supports because you'd be. I don't think you're surprised which team he supports. Go ahead.
Man, I want to hear after the NBA. First, of course, I'm a diehard Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan for life. But recently, the Lakers are not doing that well right now. They could be doing better, but they're just on path to winning half of their games. I think that's relatively good based on the team that they have so far. I know the Heat fans are looking forward to the victory this year, but I am expecting an upset from another contest team.
Yes, Dinesh, he's a Lakers supporter.
Yeah. Been a rough start for the Lakers this year as well. I mean, they've only won 7 games so far. But it's still early in the season to tell which team's going to win. So, still a long season. My team is 4-10, so I can tell you, still a long season to go.
So, Ken, here you have it. Dinesh, he didn't say which team he's supporting, but he says that it's a long season to go. So, Los Angeles Lakers still have a chance.
That's most definitely. The likes of Kobe are coming back. You never know what to expect from the team. He's coming back motivated. He's coming back angry. He has a lot of mischief out there. So he's coming to prove them all wrong.
And by the way, Dinesh, he supports Brooklyn.
So this is about Brooklyn. So I think Brooklyn is having a very disappointing season so far. And they are looking at the themselves tonight. It will be interesting to see the outcome of that game.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I think it takes some time for chemistry to happen. We knew about the Miami Heat who started up pretty bad when they started their team, so just needs time for the chemistry to happen.
that's for Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Yeah, that cannot be for Lakers. So Ken, we thank you for joining us this evening. We do wish you and the Los Angeles Lakers the best, but we also wish Brooklyn the best because we have to support the nation's team as well. And everybody knows that my team, we unfortunately were not able to make it into the NBA this year. Decided to take on another sweat. So we'll talk to you and see you. All goes well. See you next week.
Yeah, well, no definitely.
All right.
Take care, you have a good show.
You enjoy.
All right, take care, Ken.
Yes. So yes, that was Ken. Uh, so your team, what you expect from your team this evening?
Which team is that? Brooklyn?
Yes.
I don't even know who they play.
You said they play in Los Angeles.
Oh, they are they? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we're not going to win this one. I think it's because it's an away game. Oh, it's actually in Brooklyn, so maybe we can win because we're with the time difference and the arena where we have the crowd behind us. So maybe we can win this game.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see. The game
that's good.
starts at tonight. What time does it start? 7:30. So it should start in about 30 minutes. So
Okay. So Dinesh, just before we go into some, of course, breaking news today, um, we just want to touch base on the West Indies cricket team and
yeah.
the one day series in India.
All right.
Um,
You.
what what do you what can you go through with us when it comes to a series, disappointing in the test series and of course into the one day series where we showed a bit more fight.
Yeah.
What is your take on this?
Well, first of all, West Indies is not really a big Test cricket team. I mean, we don't expect much from the Test cricket team as far as when we go into Test series, especially when we're not home and we're in India, where the conditions are totally different, the pitches are different. It's hard for a team to perform at their best in those kind of conditions where it's more tailored towards the Indian team. But I think we showed a lot of fight in the one day series, and I thought we actually might take the one series if we fought harder. We did for the final game. If people don't know, we lost that game by very marginal runs. Like we actually put up 268, which was pretty good. And I think Sammy had a good outing for Solution. Also, Powell had a good outing, and so did Samuels.
Yes.
So we had some good outings from the cricket team, and it's just hard to play India in that kind of pitch, in that kind of environment.
Yes.
They have so many batsmen from the top to the bottom. So
Even without Sachin Tendulkar.
even without Sachin, I mean, the culture in the Indian team now has gone beyond Sachin. It's not only just Sachin now; it's all these guys they have like Dhoni and Dhawan, who scored 119 runs that game. So they got
Yeah.
so much talent. Again, they have a billion people, right? So they have a better chance of bringing out
Yeah.
more. And
And
cricket in India is like a culture. It's basically how we see soccer in St. Lucia, to compare it, or
yeah, and
football. We call it football.
it's interesting because SLU Sports online did make a prediction and said that the team who has the Centurion is the team who's going to win that last game.
Correct,
And
yeah.
the statement was made mainly because of the fact that you had many of the West Indian cricketers getting starts, and but nobody's going on to get that big score. And being
Yeah.
that the game would have been played on a level playing field, in fact, the fact that there is no dew, it's a day match. So the bowlers won't have the same problems that they were experiencing in the night time when there's a lot of dew and stuff. It's just um, I mean, it just showed and it exposed that aspect of the West Indies cricket team where a lot of the guys are getting the starts, getting the 50, and they're just not going on to get the big one. And that's what Dawan did. And that was just it just proved to be a match winning inning by the young man.
Yeah. A good performance again by Powell and good performance by Samuels. I mean, they both scored 70 runs. Samuel scored 71, but that's still very good performances for one-day cricket.
Yes, and of course, there was Darren Bravo who chipped in and scored 51
Correct,
not
yeah.
out, which did help. Of course, Sammy towards the end got his 30 odd runs.
Yeah.
But what do you have to say about this West Indian team that was selected, uh, the test team that was selected? Any surprises? Any selection that surprised you? Anything that just got to you a bit?
I think the depth, we don't have much depth at Test cricket at all in West Indies, and that's the sad part because I'm a big West Indian fan. We lack the depth in Test cricket. And if you know Test cricket's like a 5-day game that you need depth in your team to have. So they selected the best players they had possible. But when you send the best players, you might not have the best results.
But
Again,
but
it
don't
was
you but don't you think, Dinesh, that we really did not have our best players, considering that Tino Best was on the team. Probably that's what you meant by your best player. But Tino Best
Yeah.
was on the team, and we had persons like Ravi Rampal. Excuse was he's not totally fit. And you had Sunil Narain, which is our best bowler. Yes,
Yeah, spin bowler.
yes, Shillingford is the best spinner that
Yeah.
we have in test for the past few test matches. But Sunil Narain, just him being on the team, the teams prepare a different pitch than they would prepare with Shillingford, because a pitch that would benefit our batsmen, because you don't want much turn on that pitch with Narain on there, which is good for West Indian batsmen, that they get a flatter pitch to play on. Just his presence in the team, because it's just so strange that you've left Sunil Narain out, you've left Rampal out, and you said it's because of him not being fit, but yet still he's on for the 1 day, which you don't get much time to prepare for. The test match has been a good preparation. You left out um, this gentleman, Jason Holder, and yes, he didn't perform as good in the 1 day. But imagine if he had the time, to prepare in the test matches. He got some bowling under his belt. What he could have done. It was just a surprise. We chose Contral, and we went with Best as our two bowlers, and pressure on the likes of Sami to get in more overs, and part-timers to really get in the overs alongside Shillingford.
Yeah, that goes back to my whole depth thing. I mean, we do have great bowlers that come off, but we just don't have. If they're injured, we have no replacement for them. We basically,
Yeah.
if our best bowler is injured, we can't replace him, like with Sunil Narayan. I think it's going to improve, because I do see a lot of activities coming on with cricket in St. Lucia, cricket in around the Caribbean, where youngsters are getting to play and getting to show out their talent. So we're just far behind where India is. And say if we played a different team, we might have had a better chance.
Yeah.
But India and India is that you can't just beat India and India.
Yeah.
And Sachin Tendulkar's last game, right?
Yeah, and I must say, I do believe that, honestly, for the first time, I can actually say West Indies, they do have that depth. The days of Brian, Lara, and the Walshes and stuff, we had a really good team. It's just that certain persons were not, well, especially the post-Walsh and Ambrose era, when Lara was made to carry the team on his own. The likes of Gale and Samuels, Wavell Hines, we had some players, but the players, Sawan, you found that they did not tick at the same time, and plus they didn't show that maturity that they're showing right now. And I do believe, if we look at the West Indies team right now, Gale didn't play I was hoping that he didn't play just to give Darren Powell the opportunity to open, because this guy has been opening really well the previous games, and he could not get a spot because Gale is back in the team, and of course you have Johnson Charles, who's in the team, and he's a keeper. So looking at depth, okay, we have Gale, we have Darren Powell, we have Johnson Charles, who can also keep. So if he's not there, at least we have the Ramdin. We have the likes of Darren Bravo, the likes of Samuels. Even if we have called back Shandapol at times, we have him there. We have the likes of this young man from Trinidad who can open and open really well. The name is not coming to me, but he did really well for Trinidad in the T20 tournament. We have the likes of Santoki, who's a left-arm bowler. We have Rampal, we have Roach, we have Jason Holder. We've got that talent in there, but the problem that is still worrying us is the going on further, the concentration level. Because Darren Bravo clearly is one of the better batsmen on the West Indies team. Darren Powell shows that he can be as good when you look at him at his best. So there's no reason why, other than the fact that our concentration and focus and hitting the right points, because that's what India has done. India, if you look at the 1 day series, for example, when it's a closer challenge, right? You found that the Indians, they did certain things at the right time. They held that concentration when they needed to. They played out Narain. They didn't see, okay, let's just attack Narain. There are other players. So it's about the playing the right game. So, Dinesh, we have some questions that are going to be coming in. We're going to be going through the questions. But before let me see. we have a question here about cricket. So before we go into the next segment, which I know you have the breaking news to bring to us, and also some football, national football news, the NFL. We're just gonna go through the question. Um, question says, it's from St. Lucia. It says, is keeping affecting Charles? That's of course Johnson Charles. Is the keeping affecting Charles' performance with the bat? Maybe a bit of fatigue keeping. First, what do you think about that?
Well, I think the question is asking if keeping him as a first or opener, I believe. Is it that fatiguing? Like, is it making him keeping him as an opening batsman? And in cricket, I mean, it's all about form. So I think, from my opinion, it's the more that he's in form, and if he's still in form, you keep him in the opening batsman.
Yeah, I think the commentators, especially Ian Bishop, I think he spoke about, and I think that's why that question was brought up, because his average when he's bat first, since he's been keeping, has been really good. I think it's close to about 40 odd. But when Westing is bat second, his average is under 10 runs as a keeper. So I know it's getting into that situation where you're wondering if batting after keeping really affects Johnson, affects his performance. I mean, we know that it's not his normal thing. Johnson Charles doesn't even keep for St. Lucia. You know, you have other persons who do that for Windward Islands, etc. So doing it for West Indies, definitely something that is not something that he does often. So it's getting used to, as you said, certain teams have to get used to certain things the same way certain players have to get used to it. So I don't want to say yes. The fatigue is the issue. It could be that. It could be that leading to concentration, or just concentration, or it just could be, unfortunately, chasing and opening the batting. He just isn't the same person chasing. There are different things that could play a part in that.
Yeah.
So, Dinesh, yes, so you could go ahead with this breaking news you have for us.
All right, so it's concerning the World Cup in 2014 in Brazil. Today we had a part of a stadium that would host the 2014 World Cup opener collapse, killing 2 workers aggressively, and already urging concerns that Brazil will not be ready for the opening game in that arena. The accident obviously happened in São Paulo, where the opening game was supposed to happen. It was a crane that actually smashed into the stadium by mistake. There was 454-ton metal structure that actually came down, and it caused 2 people to die. So they have now concerns in Brazil if they'll be able to do the opening game in that stadium, and if they'll be able to fix that before the World Cup starts.
Wow. And it's happened today.
It's happened today, in the afternoon.
Wow. We could say about roughly what time, local time, or I know you guys are 1 hour behind us.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. They didn't quote us any time on the news press, but it did say it happened today. It just said in the afternoon.
Okay. Did you read up anything? I'm not too sure if it was a rumor or what it was a fact.
So it's an official news story. It is on every news story available.
Yeah, sorry. Not about this. But concerning something else. I read something to do with the Manchester United plane. Was that a rumor or fact in terms of some issues the plane had upon landing?
I think that might be a rumor.
Yeah. So many of these things come out and there's no fact. So I'm just double checking on that.
Actually, there was actually a fright for the near Manchester United plane. It was landing in Germany on Tuesday night. So the plane was carrying the team forced about landing 400 meters above the runway. So it seems like it was a bad landing.
Okay.
So I mean, everyone's okay. I mean, no one's hurt.
They played the game today and they won 5-0. So
yeah. So that was good, right?
Question: Manchester United is your team?
Yeah, correct.
and I know that Dyer would be following us right now, and Dyer is also a Man U fan. I'm not saying which team I support. I never say which team I support on SSN. I don't think anybody know that I support a team on SSN. But my team is always doing well, I think. But 5-0 today was the victory. So concerning this thing right there happening today in Brazil, um, what do you see happening from there? I mean, we are approaching December. World Cup is not too far from now, into next year. Um, that would just affect a few games. What can we see?
Well, I'm hoping Brazil does fix the problem and have the opening game still in that stadium because it's a beautiful stadium. The stadium structure is still intact, so it's not the whole stadium that collapsed. Only a partial part of it. They still have 1 year to fix it, so I think they'll get it fixed. The concern is just, is Brazil ready for such a big world event without any problems, no hitches? Security is always an issue at these big events. And is Brazil going to be able to handle it? And that's where the concern comes in. Like small things like a crane hidden into a structure, that should never happen for like a first world country, right? And these accidents I know they're accidents, but these things can like deter from like how safe is the World Cup. Like what
Yeah,
if that happens when there's like people in the stadium during a match?
that
All things
definitely
like that.
adds that definitely adds to all the riots and all the stuff happening on the
Yeah,
streets, etc. Safety is definitely an issue when we look at
yeah.
Brazil and next year's World Cup.
And they also host the Olympics in 2 years, so that's another concern. Are they ready for the Olympics as well?
Wow. So we of course you guys could also follow what's going on. Check out the reliable sources online. See for get your updates on this happening today in Brazil. Sad for the persons, of course, who lost their lives in this, and of course for anyone else who lost one thing or another of this thing happening today. So over to uh, one of your, I'm not sure if I could call it favorites, but one of your followed sports, Dinesh.
So we're talking about National Football League in the NFL. This week, of course, a lot of solutions who know have Americans in the U.S., like family in the U.S. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day, and a special day. Football is always a big part of Thanksgiving, and of course, the next day is Black Friday, where all these guys rush out and rob the malls and everything. But tomorrow we have actually three special games for the first time. Usually it's always two games for the NFL. So the first game will feature not Kansas City, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. That's a heated rivalry, and of course the winner might actually have a good chance of winning that division. We also have a later game with the Lions. Everyone knows the Lions always plays on Thanksgiving. I still don't know why they always have Detroit playing on Thanksgiving, but that's the team that does play on Thanksgiving, and they actually play in a rival in Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers still without their lead quarterback Aaron Rodgers, so looks like the Lions might have the advantage on that one. Matthew Stafford is actually playing a little better. They did lose the last game, but they should do better in this one because they're not facing a really tough opponent because they don't have their starting quarterback. And of course, there's also one more game. The Cowboys, which are the American team, always play on Thanksgiving because they're the American team, but they play the Oakland Raiders, and that should be an easy win for them.
Wonderful.
So
And
three big games to watch tomorrow, and
three big games. And
one's going to be on NBC.
okay, great.
Yeah.
So you have any team that one of your favorites or like your team that you support?
I think a lot of people who know me in St. Lucia know my favorite team is the New England Patriots. It's been that for the last 20 years, so they're doing pretty good this year. They're 8-3. We just beat the Denver Broncos on Sunday there. It's one of the best games that was done this year. Game that went to overtime where we scored a winning field goal by a mistake made by the Denver Broncos. So that was a tight game. I was up and down, jumping on couches, yelling at the TV. It was a tough game. It was one of the best games I think I've ever watched the Patriots play because they were down 24-0 at a half and fought back to come back 28-24. Eventually the game was tied at 31 to go into overtime. and it was back and forth in overtime. And eventually, Broncos made a mistake on the kickoff, and we won the game by a field goal. It was a very interesting game to watch. I mean, it was probably the game of the year so far.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you basically in terms of the FL, we know that persons here in St. Lucia, there are many persons who do follow it, especially
Yeah.
Super Bowl time. But we know we have many persons who support the Patriots. We have persons who support San Francisco, you name it. You know, so we do have a following down here in St. Lucia, and I know that folks would be waiting for the evening's games and looking to enjoy on their couch, or as I said, you know, the couches if you have more than one out there,
Yeah.
you know, with your popcorn or something, and your friends over and enjoy what's going to be some mouth-watering game of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't have a holiday tomorrow that the Super Bowl is going to. Sorry, we don't have a holiday that's Thanksgiving tomorrow. So we don't have like a holiday to watch the games. But the games happen at 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, at 8 p.m. So the 8 p.m. game, we can always catch that one. That should be a very interesting one as well.
It's
With
definitely
the Steelers and the Ravens, because two former Super Bowl champions, two former MVPs, battling it out in Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco. I know there's a lot of Ravens fans in St. Lucia, so we know a lot of people will be tuning into that game. Again, it'll be on NBC. I think most of our cable companies carry NBC down there as well. You have to remind me because I kind of forgot, right?
So somebody asked, but person of course didn't leave their name.
Yeah.
Says Dinesh early Super Bowl prediction.
I have to go with the New England Patriots to go to the Super Bowl this year. I mean, I think the AFC Championship will be against the Broncos and the Patriots. But I say Patriots and stuff from I think the Saints. The Saints are doing very good this year. And I think because it's in New York, and a lot of people don't know this, but it's the first time they're going to have it in a long time in cold weather. I think the New Orleans Saints who play in a dome would have the disadvantage against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But anything can happen in the Super Bowl, and anything with Drew Brees behind the helm of the Saints can happen. So, but it'll come down to the Broncos and Patriots in the AFC Championship, and whoever wins that probably would have the better chance of winning the Super Bowl.
Wonderful. And so basically, to wrap up on the NFL, anything that you'd want to add to what you already said?
And that's about it. If anyone's following the Trayvon Martin, sorry, the Martin case with the bullying, that's considered bullying, but I don't think it's really bullying in the NFL. That's still being investigated. In my opinion, I think Martin is a crybaby. I don't want to use that word, but that is what I think he is, saying because of what happened. And he came out, and it's become such a big controversy in the NFL, and it's about to change the NFL. I don't think we're going to see the $30,000 rookie payments they have to make, dinners they have to make again. Because usually when you're a rookie, you have to make a $30,000 payment for dinner, take your whole team out. And I think we're going to see less and less of that. I think we're going to see less bullying in the locker room. Again, I don't like the word bullying. It's more like hazing, and it's more like if you ever join a cult together and how people join in a cult. Cult's a bad word. Let me use a better word. If you ever join a team, I played for a team when I played for St. Mary's College in volleyball. We have our little traditions here and there. I mean, these things are like part of sports in the locker room, but I think the NFL is going to come down hard on that. And Incognito was the actual guilty party in this, who plays for the Miami Dolphins. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it's a very interesting case to follow, especially for someone who was part of a team and knows what the culture are in the locker room. I'm not too sure if you've ever experienced that. Have you?
Well, not really. I think the only thing I've experienced is waking up to Colgate, you know, all over my face. That was at a cricket under 15 camp,
Yeah,
and
so that's
that's the only thing I could say that that was a bit annoying actually, but it was fun as well.
yeah. We had our traditions at St. Mary's College as well with the volleyball team. Some that I can't even air on here because they're so extreme. But that's what you're just part of that culture, and just sports. And yeah, we're the new generation. We're in the 21st century. Some of the things like racism is off limits, but when you're in the locker room, I think it's just a different environment. But we see how the NFL, probably the NFL is going to do something about the racism part of that, where Incognito used the N-word repeatedly, and that was kind of the big part of it. But we'll see how they deal with that. And that's a very interesting case in any sport, actually, because we don't hear about it much in basketball. We don't hear much about it in cricket. I don't even know if there's hazing in cricket. I guess we got to ask one of the players one time if we ever get to ask them that. But and let's see if they're going to tell us, because it's kind of a private thing as well, right? So,
Yes.
but I know I was a part of the team, and I had to be hazed, and I hazed people, the juniors and stuff like that. So it's part of sports, but we might be in for tournament sports, in the whole sports, not in the NFL.
That would be interesting because we all know that the nature of the human being, they just need some fun, something out of the ordinary at times. These things happen, different people, different attitudes, different culture. There's always this little thing that is hanging around, and we'll see how that works out. If the NFL does come down on those players for such.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in see what happens as well.
And so, just to take our attention a bit away from the international scene and move over to the local scene, Dinesh, just we're just going to discuss something shortly. We know that local sports definitely something that persons are looking, hoping that there could be a bigger buzz about it. We had some tournaments concluded, like the Black Hat football, Bank of St. Lucia T20 cricket competition. We have a basketball tournament going on. We have another football tournament that is going on. We have school sports, first term sports taking place. We had quite a bit of table tennis, quite a bit of swimming. Yes, the cycling recently finished OECS championship with our own Kurt Mirage, of course, coming second in that championship. So there's quite a bit in terms of local sports here, of course, in St. Lucia. Um, but what I want to know is, based on I know that you're of course over in Canada, what is the general feeling over there towards? Do you hear anybody talking about persons who have any ties with our athletes locally? Any scouts that you may know of who look at our athletes, or is there any buzz about sports in St. Lucia from any persons out there?
Unfortunately, not really. I mean, they don't look at our country much as into sports as yet. But we do have the Pan Am Games that are going to happen actually in Toronto, in Canada, in 2015. Of course, I think we're going to prepare our athletes for the Pan Am Games, of course. And St. Lucia is a big part of that. So when they come up here, I mean, I think we have swimming. We could probably win, maybe go to the final in swimming. I wouldn't say win a medal because we have the Canadians here and the Americans here as well in the Pan Am Games, but we'll see how we do in swimming. I think swimming is our strongest sport coming into the Pan Am Games. I know soccer is one of the another sport that we play very well. Not as well as again as Canada and America, but we'll have to see how that goes because Pan Am brings in Brazil as well. So we have to see all the teams like that. But I think our strongest sport again, swimming. It's been a long time since we had track and field as a big part of our sports. When I was in St. Mary's, I know track and field was very popular. We had a good team back then. I know for the Olympics we sent a track and field star. Do you remember who we sent for the Olympics?
Olympics, we had, of course, Laverne,
Laverne, right.
Spencer. We had another guy, I can't recall his name, but he was also there on part of the Olympic
Yeah.
team. But we have quite a number of athletes. Well, a few I should say, but we have the likes of Makiba
Right.
Azib, and she was actually on one of our episodes. She's of the promising, and if not, I mean, she's already doing well, but she has much more in her to offer, and she definitely told us that look out for her because she has much more to offer. in terms of swimming, we've had on the show, we've had Bradford Worrell. I mean, doing very well in swimming. Been on the show a few times. He's given us quite a bit of information. Swimming definitely is a sport that the folks are looking to push. St. Lucia came in second in the recently concluded competition 3 weeks ago. Definitely we've St. Lucia, as you mentioned. Yes, I know that many persons around other countries, the Canada, the US, may not be looking at us in terms of talent, and that's one thing that we had a huge discussion about. And I know management, etc., of SLU Sports Online are definitely looking at from next year, looking to help out things in that case, because I do believe that our athletes need to be more online, because you hardly find a scout coming to St. Lucia just to find talent, but you would find a scout online looking for talent if he has to. So I do believe our sports need to get onto the internet a bit more, get out there to the persons who are looking rather than the persons who are looking coming down, because I'm sure Dinesh, a scout who's coming to St. Lucia, but you'll be coming to St. Lucia on vacation. But to look for talent, it's not something that really happens.
Yeah, it's the same way. Like the same thing in any kind of like anything like happens like music as well. The same thing. We don't have scouts coming down to look for our musicians, and we have really good talented musicians down there. But it's tough because most of them come for vacation, and they stumble on a musician or they stumble on music they hear. They don't go to the sports arenas. They don't go watch the track and field and stuff like that, and they don't come down specifically for that. So it's tough for a scout to come down. I think most of our athletes, the best way to get discovered is to go to college in America. I know a couple of my friends who went to college in America and got discovered there, and they started playing for their college teams. None of them really made it to the pros, but I know your best chance is to make it to college in America. Maybe get a scholarship under your sport for the young people. Tennis is a big thing too. I mean, I think tennis is becoming really big in St. Lucia. I know I'm very close to
lawn tennis or table?
lawn tennis, yes.
Okay.
And I know a lot of what's happening with the St. Lucia National Tennis Association because I've been in close ties with them, and they have a very good program going on there. And I think our talent for tennis is going to really increase now. We have certified coaches down there now. When I come back, I might even help coach, because I have a certified coach coaching. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, and tennis on the whole, in fact, I realized that table tennis. I know there are guys who are working really really hard and smart in getting table tennis going as well. So I guess the tennis both types looking to definitely make some inroads and get get some revival and get tennis back on track to where, well, not just where it was before, but of course surpassing that and being out there in so that everybody can see that it's a sport that your son, your daughter, you can have them go and participate in, because there are many sports out there. The same thing for swimming. Many persons may not look at it as a sport, like the football, like the soccer, etc., cricket, but it's something that we should pay attention to as well. But it's really nice to hear what you just said about the lawn tennis, and I do trust that the other sports will take note on that and push forward from here.
I actually have a question. I mean, if any of the viewers can answer this question, it'd be great. Or if you can answer this question, how come we've never had someone in golf? We have so many golf courses down in St. Lucia.
You ever heard of Tiger Woods?
I mean, from St. Lucia. I mean, Tiger Woods is not from St. Lucia. I'm saying we have so many golf courses down in St. Lucia.
Yes.
I don't hear many Lucians playing golf.
Yeah.
I guess it's an expensive sport as well.
Yeah,
too.
and the other thing too is that I'm not too sure what it takes to actually get access to those courses.
I know it's pretty tough.
And it's promoted more for celebrities and folks coming down on vacation to come and enjoy a game of golf. And as you said, it's a bit costly in terms of compared to other sports. I know that there are certain sports that share that same feeling. Cycling is another one.
That's correct.
Very
Yeah.
costly one. Sometimes the guys have to use a lot of their money. I was speaking to one of the guys, and he mentioned about the thousands of dollars that a bike would cost. 15,000 US dollars, and you have what you call a bike. St. Lucia, you'd have the 8,000, the 5,000 US dollar bikes. Which they okay, but when you compare them to what you want to race out there with, you're already at a disadvantage. And you find that persons do not do the sport professionally because what money is there. So when you compete against the Jamaicans, you compete against the other Caribbean islands that take it a bit seriously as a professional, especially in Jamaica. You set back. So St. Lucia really the issue with sports is something that is gonna continue to hinder the extra talent that we have, is that we have no professional leagues going on, and it has to take the coming together of more than just the athletes. You have the media houses, we may have the private companies, who may have to jump in as well, because
As well as the
football.
St. Lucia Sports Association, of course.
Exactly. And Dinesh, I mean, do you know if a cricketer goes out there, a footballer goes out there, gets hurt, and there's nothing to take care of him. He has to take care of himself, insurance-wise. There's no type of insurance that covers the sports. So it's really tough in terms of that. But I believe no matter how small it is, they should look at this professionally very closely, because you know what's going to happen. Persons are going to leave school, and I mean they're going to have to choose money over sports, rather than sports seen as a way of getting an income as well. And I mean it took a lot of sportsmen away from. I mean, I'm sure persons like you may love your volleyball. I know there are certain persons who love their sport, but in the end, you have to choose between, going and get something done for money, or playing the sport. And really, the decision would have been simple to some. The decision would have
Yeah.
been easier to others because they had the time, or they were put in a position where they can continue the sport.
Yeah, I think one advice I'd like to give is just before that you give up on any sport, look at the opportunities. You still have opportunities in the States and Canada that look for scholarships for sports from athletes from around the world, including the Caribbean, including St. Lucia. I have known a few athletes actually who've got scholarships from Canada, from America, because of their sports talent. So I know we can't do anything in St. Lucia right now, but there are other opportunities for them outside of St. Lucia, which is kind
Wonderful.
of sad because we kind of
Yeah,
lose their talent. Like we
yeah,
don't get to see their talent flourish in front of us.
yeah.
But there are opportunities, and the
But
best thing
but
I can tell you as a sports person myself, just don't give up. Work
yes,
hard at
and
it
that's
every
and
day.
that's good advice, and I mean that's the best you can do
Yeah, I
after.
don't want to
I mean,
discourage any
it's
sports
exactly.
person out there.
So you go out there and do that. But when we look at the other aspect of it, is that to in terms of the administrator aspect of it, administration, and taking up our sports to another level. Remember, they would have to step up, because we're competing with you know we're competing with how's that cricket. We're competing with all those games on Facebook now. I mean, persons are playing this kind of sports now. People are online, so you're competing with the Facebook and the other social networks now, which you find that a lot of people, of course, spending most of the time online rather than on the playing field, on the court, etc. So we need to step up now, because what's going to happen if we don't is that we're going to leave it up to the youth now to decide, rather than we help them make a decision and entice them a bit. So, and we have some really good sportsmen. I mean, I coached the Entry Cricket School for since the year 2008, so that's about 6 years thereabout. But I mean, I've seen talent gone down the drain, as in, I'm not gonna play for the school because um, I don't want to play for that school. You get a lot of people from all the different schools who, because of their discipline, the students, they can't play the sport. And you can't blame the teachers in one way, because they have to discipline those students. But you
Yeah.
could tell that there needs to be something else done to ensure that these things don't happen. Because trust me, the discipline in the students is not helping, because those same guys the following week are going to do the same thing. You're going to stop them from playing the cricket game again. It doesn't matter to them anymore until they just stop playing the game. So I believe that it starts as early as school. I mean, cricket, Dinesh, I know you would notice when St. Mary's College had cricket, there used to be this coaster, two coasters, a coaster going out there to the game. Compre always used to send out, persons there to support. These days for cricket, you don't get anybody supporting. You get the fact that it's a full day sport, so you cannot send the students away from the schoolwork to go and watch cricket. For me, that's one thing I'm in total disagreement with. I believe that if we continue to do this, the sport is going to fall. And guess what? In 2008, you played a team, and there were 4 or 5 good guys, talented guys, with 2 strong guys. Up till the last year, there were teams with 1 guy carrying that whole team. So the standard is falling. It's like really falling in terms of cricket. I'm not too sure about the other sports and how's it going, but cricket-wise, I mean, if we want to look for someone to make the West Indies cricket team again, we have to dig deep. And the guys, I mean, there is there's talent out there, but there's the lack of discipline, and also, the lack of opportunity for the folks.
Yeah. As you mentioned cricket, I just want to let you know that, do you know about the national team trials this weekend, right? In the Botsego Cricket Ground?
Yes, you have some more information?
Yeah, so it's going to be the national team trials this weekend to pick for St. Lucian team, happening this weekend. That's all the information I have. Not sure what time and everything goes on. That's when I think St. Lucians should come out and support those guys, help them, because, I mean, this is an important part of the cricket in St. Lucia.
Yes, I know there was the bank.
I do have one friend that's actually going to be there. It's Craig Emmanuel, who we played cricket with back in
Craig was on our show 2 shows ago. His team won the Bank of St. Lucia T20 Monrepo, and he scored a century that helped his team.
I played with him, so I know how talented he is. He's amazingly talented. I'm surprised he never made the West Indies cricket team, because he does have what it takes to make it there.
So he's definitely a
fighting for it.
Definitely. Yeah. And you have folks like that, and these folks are from one generation, and you're afraid for the generation after. I know there are guys out there, but we need more. And we persons did say there was someone who made a comment as to BOSL T20, and the turnout was poor, and person probably went on to blame the sponsors. But I honestly don't believe that they were the persons to just put the blame on. I mean, it goes beyond just that. If we keep blaming one aspect of it, we ain't gonna reach far, and stuff like that we need to support. I know it's something that is not only in St. Lucia that's the problem. I know there are other urban islands that suffer the same thing, but guess what? If we want to compete with the level of the Indians, South Africans, there are certain things that we need to change, which is certain things that they're doing that we need to get doing. And as long as we don't do that, we will fall short certain areas, because say 1, say 2, you look at the West Indies cricket team. Talent, we have that. We have that. There are not many teams with so much potential than us, but it's delivering that's the problem, and delivering it as a team. Because, I mean, look at it, Darren Powell, Darren Bravo, Marlon Samuels, Chris Gale, the likes of Darren Sammy, Sunil Narayan. We have the best spin bowler, with Ajmal fighting for the top spinner in the world. We have that. We have one of the most feared, if not the most feared batsman, Chris Gale. We have one of the better leaders in Darren Sammy. I mean, competing with probably Dhoni. He does not have the same team as Dhoni, which will bring us to our closing talk, which deals with Darren Sammy and his captaincy troubles, you might say. But what do you have to say about this one? Darren Sammy, of course, now is captain of our T20 and Test team. Dwayne Bravo, captain of the one-day team.
Well, I hear that Sammy was being threatened to his captaincy was threatened on the Test and the T20 team. I think he's one of the best captains they have there. His knowledge of cricket, and I've spoken to him before about this, his knowledge of cricket is beyond what knowledge we have about cricket. He knows how to set a field. I mean, he's probably one of the best captains that come along for a long time. Maybe since Chandapal was captain of the Test cricket team. I think Lara was cricket captain as well back in the day. But he's one of the best that come along. I mean, again, the scenario was he went to India and they expected more from him. Is the conditions in India? I mean, I don't think captain was the problem. I think it was more like we didn't play as a team, as you said. I have to agree on that.
I can recall a commentator saying that a player said that if Chris Kens, yes, from New Zealand, said that if he was the captain of the Australian team that Ricky Ponting had, he would be a successful captain. And you look at the teams and the players that they have around them. When you have great talent that produces, it's definitely easier for you to lead. And if you were to probably give MS Dhoni, the captain of the West Indies cricket team, you definitely have to bring out more captaincy characteristics out of him to make that team win. So Darren Sammy is unfortunate to have guys performing below standard. We're not talking only, we talk as well of his own performance. We know that, of course, he can most of the time perform below what he can, but it doesn't help when you have the rest of the team doing the same. The thing about Darren Sammy and his place on the team, it is looking more and more a threat simply because the balance of the team is what's being used against him right now. I understand for the T20 for sure, it does not affect the balance of the team. For Test cricket and for one-day cricket, it seems to be actually affect the balance of the team. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad. I'm not saying that I think he should not be the captain or anything of that sort, but I'm just looking at the facts. He's not bowled that much. Batting, he's not been scoring that many runs consistently. So he's like a here and there floater. Now, if he had a team performing around him, he's definitely a good captain because we know Darren. Darren is a good guy. Darren is a good motivator. He's a calm guy.
A leader.
Yes,
That's the first word that comes to mind.
But what I know is that he definitely works, and he does not give up. He goes out there and he gives it his best. That's one thing, and that's a quality that West Indies needed at the time when he was captain, because we had guys who just walked out on the team. We had guys, Darren he inherited a team that is not that strong, and now that those guys are coming back into the team, of course, people are expecting more, and there is a bit of a division here and there in the team, so it didn't help Darren at all. But I would safely say T20, he does not affect the balance of the team. In Test cricket, it's showing more he does affect the balance of the team. Maybe we can get another pace bowler in there. And in one-day cricket, it does show especially when he does not perform with the bat, because he's not given that many overs. We now have a situation where the current captain himself is not bowling himself that much. So something has to be done, and I know that it's been used against him.
Yeah. Well, I just wish him good luck, and hopefully he can keep his captaincy as well.
Definitely.
I mean, one series should not, especially this series, which is a tough environment, should not end up in a bad result for him as the captaincy.
Definitely. And so basically, Dinesh, we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening on SU Sports Night.
I'd like to thank everybody for watching too as well, and everybody for showing up. Thank you for having me as well.
Definitely. You have your following over in Canada, some folks who definitely look to view the show as well.
Yeah, the whole world actually, hopefully.
Wonderful, and we do look forward to having you next week, once God's will, and also maybe we would have Ken back on the show with us. But we do want to thank everybody out there for joining us on the show. Episode 14, 14 weeks of SSN, and we look to continue to bring you more interesting shows to come. Next week, we look forward to a special guest alongside us on air, and we look forward to your questions, getting your comments, and remember, let's keep going, stay positive, sporting out there, don't give up, remember, don't quit, just keep going. Have a wonderful evening, and see you guys next week for episode 15.
Good night.
Good night.